You're listening to This Week in America with Rick Bratton.
Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America. Great to have you with us on the program. Back on the show, Rodger Friedman, CRPC, is an author, speaker, financial advisor with over 30 years of experience, founding partner and managing director of Steward Partners Global Advisory, regarded as one of America's foremost authorities on the relationships between clients and their consultants. His first book, the Amazon best-selling Forging Bonds of Steel, How to Build a Successful and Lasting Relationship with Your Financial Advisor, is widely regarded as a premier book on the sacred connection. And his second book that we're talking about in the program today, Fire Your Retirement Planner You, Concise Advice on How to Join the $100,000 Retirement Club. Back with us on the program is Rodger Friedman. Rodger, great to have you back with us on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Rick. I'm glad to be back.
A lot of great information. In fact, back on, he did two shows with us, back to this one talking about the new book. And first of all, let's talk a little bit about the background. I mentioned over 30 years. This has been a varied degree of experiences that you've had. Talk a little bit about your experience.
Well, for literally 3 decades, I've been a financial advisor focusing on retirement strategies and the issues that people face when they are edging closer and closer to retirement. And I became a chartered retirement planning counselor. And along with my partner, Joe Wong, who's a certified financial planner and chartered retirement plans specialist, we have a small team that advises people that have been successful in their life, that are looking to make sure that they can retire in a lifestyle that they want and have a lifestyle sustaining income in the face of ever increasing inflation year after year.
Rodger Friedman, our guest on This Week in America, will give you information on Rodger and how to get in contact and how to get information on the book, which is called Fire Your Retirement Planner You, Concise Advice on How to Join the $100,000 Retirement Club. Let's talk about, you mentioned so often people are unprepared. Why is that? Is it just because we sort of tend to put it off and then when it's time we think we can rush and do it ourselves?
Oh, exactly, Rick. Matter of fact, yesterday I read an article and it had to do with millennials, but they were mentioning that the millennials spend more on their daily coffee than they do putting money in their retirement accounts.
I can believe that, yes.
Now, I've written about that, and as a matter of fact, it's in my book. So it's really not news because I wrote that about 1.5 years ago. But the point is that when people think, I don't need to begin saving for retirement yet, they're making an incorrect assumption. The fact is, you need to start tomorrow because it takes an awful lot of work, an awful lot of money, and an awful lot of discipline to be able to build the balances necessary to create a synthetic paycheck when you no longer want to work.
Now, the other side of that is, okay, do some people think, okay, it's really too late to do anything. I missed my chance. I'm 63 years old. There's not a whole lot I can do about it now. Is it ever too late to start?
Well, if you're 63 and you're going to die tomorrow, yes, I believe it is.
Okay.
However, you can look at, might I work for another year or 2 or 3? Can I put back and save some money? Can I lower my expenses? Can I take a look at when I may begin Social Security? There are still a number of things to do, but obviously, Rick, the longer you wait, the less flexibility you have. So in an ideal world, you want to start as early as you can and give yourself the most flexibility and the most options, because you don't want to end up like my grandmother did in the mid-'60s. My grandma and grandpa had a paint supply store in Manhattan, and my grandpa died on Thanksgiving, and less than a year after he died, my grandmother had to close the store because she could not operate it by herself. And I remember as a kid, my dad sitting down at a mahogany desk in the living room, writing her out a check every week for $115. And Rick, he did that every week because she got Social Security and it wasn't enough to live on. So the idea that the child has to support the parent in retirement, to me, it just felt wrong. And I felt that people need to be able to start early enough so that they don't need to rely on their kids.
With us on This Week in America is Rodger Friedman. That's Rodger. Friedman is Friedman. Go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and you can link on directly to Rodger's website, which is RodgerOnRetirement.com. The book we're talking about is excellent. Everybody really needs to read this. Fire Your Retirement Planner You, concise advice on how to join the $100,000 retirement club. And we've talked before about some of the common mistakes, and you've got 12 keys for successful retirement. I'll mention how you can get a free copy of that here in a second. But we talked before about some of the common mistakes, and one is people think it's a do-it-yourself project. It can't be that complicated. I read a little bit, friends tell me what to do. I can do it myself. Talk about why that's really a mistake and when we should start considering going to professionals to do this the right way.
Rick, let me put it this way. You may be a great crane operator. You may be a great pharmacist. You may be a great truck driver or dentist or chiropractor or architect. But what do you know? What do you really know about creating a strategy that will give you a lifestyle sustaining income in retirement that has the ability to increase as your costs increase year after year due to inflation? So tell me, if you're a pharmacist, what do you know about that, Rick?
Absolutely nothing.
What about if you're a geologist?
Same thing.
Computer operator?
I'm going to have to turn to the experts or I'll probably screw it up myself.
That's the point. And, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you're the amateur in charge of your retirement, you have to fire yourself. Unless, of course, you do home root canal kits and you fix your own broken leg. In that case, well, maybe you can, create your own retirement strategy. But if you go to a dentist when you need a root canal and you go to a doctor when you need to set your child's broken leg, odds are there are things about retirement planning that you just don't know. And again, you could be very, very good at what you do, but this is outside, what you know. And if it's outside of what you know, bring in retirement professionals that can help you and give you the chance to get it right the first time.
The name of the book is Fire Your Retirement Planner You. Obviously, this was something that was developing in your mind over probably a number of years when you decided, I actually need to write this. How many times have you sat there with people that have come to you for the first time and you see what they've done and you're thinking, and maybe even verbalize it, wow, we could have really maximized this. We could have made this much, much greater, what you already have, had you come to a professional in the first place?
Rick, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. I've met with hundreds of people, and when I look at their portfolios and I look at what they've done, I think to myself, if only they had come to a retirement professional or a financial planner years ago, and this way they would not have been doing the wrong thing for the last 5, 10, or 15 years. So the idea is that you want to be able to get good advice as quickly as possible so that you're on the best road and you're making your decisions effectively and efficiently, and you're making the right decisions.
Rodger Friedman, our guest on This Week in America. Information on Rodger by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. The book is Fire Your Retirement Planner You. I mentioned you've got the at the website and a lot of great information, a resource vault there that talks about retirement planning, aging and benefits, financial responsibility, a great deal of information there, including you can sign up for a free report, The 12 Keys to Successful Retirement. Talk briefly about that, and there's a lot of great information there as well.
Well, Rick, I wrote the 12 Keys to Successful Retirement Planning Your Parents Didn't Teach You because after meeting with so many people and realizing that there were many fundamentals of retirement that they had no clue of, I said to myself, they're not learning it in college. They're not learning it from their parents. There may be water cooler talk, as they call it, at the office, but there's really no great place to learn what are the fundamentals. Because if you Google, retirement fundamentals, you're going to get 7 million answers in around 3 seconds. And to me, that really is not all that helpful. It's like trying to get a glass of water out of a fire hydrant. So I chose 12 of the most important keys. And Rick, there are quite a few more, but I limited myself to 12. These are the fundamentals, and your listeners can download the report for free on my website, rodgeronretirement.com.
They are fundamental. They are very easy to understand. And when you see them there, it makes so much common sense when you're looking at them. You can get the information at Rodger's website, rodgeronretirement.com. You mentioned water cooler. How do you feel about people, and I'm sure you get it all the time, is like, Rodger, should we be looking into this? Because a buddy of mine at work said he's really doing well with this. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Rick, it's kind of like my barber's cousin's nephew's next door neighbor, told me to invest in fill in the blank.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I want to draw people to is this. They need to understand that they need to be able to plan for a retirement that potentially could last 30 years. If they retire at the very popular age of 62, which incidentally is the first year you can get Social Security retirement benefits, if they retire at 62 and live to 92, or their spouse lives to 92, then you're needing to create a synthetic paycheck for 3 decades. That takes a lot of planning, and the last thing you could do, Rick, is wing it.
Which goes back to, again, why you need professionals. Rodger Friedman, our guest on the program. Time going by so quickly, and Social Security is something that's interesting. You talk about some of the common mistakes. We've discussed this before, and one of those is when to begin getting your distributions. And when is a good time, or can we not generalize that? It really depends on you listening and understanding the circumstances.
Right. If I had a client in front of me and they said, when is the best time to begin collecting Social Security? The only answer that I can give is it depends, because it depends on a host of factors that are very personal to you. What other income do you have? What is the state of your health? How long are you going to keep working? How much debt do you have? Do you have a spouse that works? There are a number of strategies to maximize Social Security distributions, but it all depends on the individual's specific circumstances. So I cannot open page 52 of a national financial magazine and take a look and say, oh, well, this magazine says I should do it at this age. It doesn't work that way.
Are there people that leave thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table, or in this case, in the government coffers, because they didn't do it right?
Absolutely. And there are very, very few chances for a do-over, because Social Security has more rules and regulations than you would ever believe. It is one of the most complicated government programs ever created. And if you think you're going to wake up at age 62 and say, hey, I can get Social Security now, and just walk down to the office, to the local Social Security office, and start to, fill out the forms, you're sadly mistaken, because you're right. You may end up leaving a lot of money on the table without even realizing it.
Is that why there's an advantage to having a team of advisors working with you rather than just one person?
Well, the reason that I'm in favor of a team, first of all, my team, we have credentialed expertise with a chartered retirement plans specialist, chartered retirement planning counselor, and a certified financial planner, or CFP. For one person to have all that knowledge, they got to spend a heck of a lot of time in school. And what I'm worried about with one person is if they fall ill, they get sick, they get hit by a bus, all of a sudden you have a real big problem on your hands because you have no one to talk to. When there's a wealth planning team or a retirement planning team, You have a number of individuals. So if I'm on vacation, somebody can talk to my partner, for example. And I think that's a better way of doing it than going to a sole proprietor.
Rodger Friedman, our guest on the program. We're talking about retirement planning. A couple minutes left in the show. One of the common mistakes you discuss is we underestimate the risk. Talk about that in the time we have remaining, because I think that's one of the things that when we realize that, suddenly we don't want to be our retirement planner because the stakes are too serious.
Well, there are a lot of different risks, okay? And I'll just run through a couple of them. There are the people that have a small amount of money in their investment accounts, and they go through all that money before they go through their IRA and 401k money. And they get to a point where all the money they're taking out is taxable because everything is in a qualified retirement plan or their IRA, okay? So tax risk is one risk. Another risk I've seen, and I see this all the time, is when people do not effectively plan and they come to me and they say, my retirement plan is when my mom passes away, and then I'll inherit money, and then I have all the money I need. I don't like that kind of planning person.
No.
I have a real problem if your mom is your retirement plan. Okay, and as a matter of fact, I write about that in my book, what your retirement plan should not include, and that's your mom and dad's money. Okay, it's your responsibility to do this yourself. They are at a different point in their life. Let them use their money. If there's anything left over, fine, but don't plan on it. And the other risk, the big risk, is healthcare expenses. Fidelity did a study that showed that, in retirement, you and your spouse could spend upward of $250,000 on healthcare expenses. Rick, I'll ask you a question. Where's that coming from? Your left pocket, your right pocket, your checking account. Okay? So, there's a lot of money that's going to be needed. And according to Michael Caine, the actor, it's probably about double what you think.
You said something there that's interesting. When people are, okay, I do a little 401k, I've got an IRA, that type of thing. I'm listening to the program, but I don't really have a whole lot of money. Does that make a whole lot of difference when you should start seeing a financial planner? In other words, is there like don't come to me unless you got $300,000 to start with. Should people go to you, even if the sums of money are not vast, but get the right information to build that foundation?
Well, my team and I, because of how we are structured, we cannot help everybody. So, for example, if people don't have any money, there's not a whole lot we can do, okay?
Right.
Because our particular team is geared and has strengths in certain areas, okay? And commonly, we deal with people between 400,000 and 7 million, okay? That being said, we can always give people ideas on how they might get started properly. There are a lot of great books. I'm not even talking about mine. I'm talking there's a lot of great books out there that can give you a start. But, the very, very beginning, I would download my special report for free, 12 Keys to Successful Retirement Planning. Your parents didn't teach you, and just use that as a beginning. Other than that, look at my website, rodgeronretirement.com, because I wrote over 70 articles in there that give you a lot of information.
And that is so important, because when you deal with someone who's got $500,000, it didn't start at $500,000 probably. It started at a lot less than that and built to that level. Rodger Friedman.
Probably at $300.
Well, yes. Yeah. Rodger Friedman is our guest on the program. The book that we're talking about is Fire Your Retirement Planner You, Concise Advice on How to Join the $100,000 Retirement Club. Rodger's website is rodgeronretirement.com. Rodger is R-O-D-G-E-R, rodgeronretirement.com. And what he was talking about, the free report that you can download very easily and will get you started on the right track, is the 12 Keys to a Successful Retirement. All of this available at Rodger's website, and you can link on directly by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and get all the information. Rodger, time always goes by too quickly. It is always a pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you for being back with us.
Rick, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks and have a great day.
You as well, and we look forward to having Rodger back in the program. Rodger Friedman, our guest of the program. The book, Fire Your Retirement Planner U. Information available at RodgerOnRetirement.com. Stay tuned. You're listening to This Week in America. We're back after these messages.